Alrighty, Doc here from North America, TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday. It's another fun-filled week, and it has been kind of wild since Saturday or Friday night. It was kind of curious what we saw Friday night. Something about the housing market in China. I mean, we had Evergrande. You know, that was just a $300 billion situation, but now there's talk of total collapse of the real estate market in general, down 36%, so forth and so on in China. And so it's becoming, I guess, more intense. It's so easy to buy in China. It's like I've always say here, you know, it's like the cockroach hotels we used to say on the trading floor. It's easy to get in, but it's hard to get out. All right, so that's where we stand with that, and it's kind of interesting to see it, you know, kind of play itself out. $62 trillion in real estate market. That's the largest real estate market in the world, they're saying. And at the same time, you can't sell it. There's nothing to be sold. No one will pay for it. So how can it be $62 trillion? So that's the amount of debt that's built on that, which is kind of a freak out, really. You know, when you think about it, it's like, yow, ow. You know, $62 trillion. They only have $1 trillion parked in the U.S. bond market. That's probably why it will never move. The one thing they don't want to do is lose that. I mean, they're not going to throw $1 trillion to try to fix $62 trillion. Instead, they're going to covet the $1 trillion, and that's why we see them say one thing and do another constantly. You know, like, oh, we're not buying any more U.S. bonds, and then they go and buy 300 billion of them in another country, you know, just to hide where they're buying them. So it is an odd dilemma. We watch the world go by every day, you know, with some of these stranger events, but it doesn't seem to have much of an effect when it comes to reality. You know, we just kind of see it, but we just kind of shake our heads since no one seems to be taking them too serious. Only Doc here rambles about this stuff at this point. You don't see it on the front page of Bloomberg more than a few minutes at most. And it kind of always is like that he said, she said. They never seem to blame one side. It's just everybody's the problem. That's what it really comes down to. Everybody's the problem. And so it goes on and like that. So, you know, let's put it this way. If Richard Nixon back in the 60s and the 70s was in these times and he was a Democrat, he would have been a full 8-year president, without a doubt. They would have never bothered him. And they would have just gone on and on and on. Anyhow, there we are. You can see the Swiss. See it on J4X this morning. You see the Swiss trying to bounce up a little bit there. We got a couple of reds going on. We got reds over here on Chicago Quant. And we are in a daily sell for one day. That was Friday. And just a little bit down today. You know, nothing major. I don't think markets really know what to do and where to go at this point. When you're talking about trillions upon trillions, now in supposedly the second largest economy in the world, underwater totally, it makes it very hard to come up with, what's the best way of describing it? You know, it just is, it's just interesting, just fascinating on a adolescent level. I think that's the best way to describe it. Interesting on an adolescent level, because it's surely not an adult level. All right, let's go over to Dukascopy and see if anybody is saying good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Click on that right there. And we click on Doc. There's 4 people in the house, so that's pretty cool. No, nobody's saying anything in particular, so we have not missed a question being asked. That's a good thing. That's always a good thing. All right, heading over to, let's see, what we got here. So we can see it on J4X, we've done that. And we've done it on Chicago Quant. You can see just pretty much a docile market at this point in time. Let's jump over to the euro. Let's see how the euro is doing this morning. And there it is right there. Down a little bit, nothing major. Fighting to get into the buy here today. That's kind of cool. Let's see what the J4X tells us about that. Right there. So you can see right there, just kind of flattish also. White line going up. Same as Chicago Quant. So it just shows us that the consistency is there. You know, the market is trying to do almost nothing really. It is a little bit surprising, not a lot, that we are down below our trend line, or not trend line, the envelope. You know, we were looking for it to make the challenge, and it did, and it's still hanging there. But notice it's underneath there. It's like glued to the line. So it's not exactly like if the world's coming to an end or something of that nature. You know, it seems to be just, you know, and I don't really have a strong, you know, opinion about the idea that we're going to see really bad movements in the currency. I mean, I saw, what was it? I saw this really wild headline. What was it? Something about the dollar going to zero, and what would gold and silver look like? It was one of those headlines in Zero Hedge this morning, and I laughed and I thought, well, it's not only the dollar, because if the dollar goes to zero, everything's going to zero. So then, you know, gold and silver will be priced in what? If it's not priced in dollars, since it's at zero, then how do you price gold and silver? Yeah, the headline was really strange. Sometimes, you know, these sensational headlines make no sense whatsoever. Then sometimes there are articles in there that are totally fascinating, give us great in-depth of speculation and idea that makes you think. And then sometimes they say stuff like that, headline. When the dollar goes to zero, what will gold and silver be worth? Well, obviously zero, since you can't price them in dollars anymore. And what will they be priced in? I don't know. You know, I don't see world currencies going away like the way Bretton Woods went away with a stroke of a pen. That I don't see. You know, in other words, it'll just slowly stay the way it is. Countries will have some more value, some will have less when it comes to their currency. As long as there's quantitative and central banks and organized government, I don't see any of the currencies disappearing on the earth. I mean, maybe, you know, like maybe the Zimbabwe dollar or something like that, possibly, since now one Zimbabwe dollar is supposedly like a billion Zimbabwe dollars makes $1 in American currencies. I mean, I could see something like that having a problem changing. Maybe they'll go to pounds. Maybe they'll go to rand. Who knows? But in the end result is that I don't really see anybody's currency really disappearing. Ooh, I hear it from the robin. Let's see. Maybe I've lost my. Where's that?
Click on the link in this video to get a 50% discount.
Oop, there we go. Hey, hey, hey. Sure. Bye-bye. So, let's see, what did we lose there? I just hit that there. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I just need to go find something for Robin. Hold on a second. But yeah, I don't see currencies like disappearing. I really don't. And it's really odd to see headlines like that. I think that sensationalism belittles financial news. You know, I mean, I don't find it. I don't know how you can make a case for something like that. I don't agree with anything they say when it comes to that concept. You know, it just. And then, you know, one of the funnier things, who's really out there buying cryptocurrency from the U.S. Federal Reserve or these central banks? No one. They're going to go to the independents like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, and whatever else. They're not going to go to the central banks. They exist. See, that's the disingenuousness of it. You know, that's kind of like the lie or the fakeness. No, they're running from the central banks to buy cryptocurrencies from the independents. They're not going to go buy cryptocurrencies from the central banks. And that is one of the things that always catches my eye more than anything else, is that it's kind of like they missed the story. They've kind of missed the reason for cryptocurrencies. Quantitative easing. I mean, that's what it's all about. People with equity, small and big, have no interest in trusting the central banks anymore. So why would they run to them to buy cryptos? It's not that they're running the crypto for the technology as much as they're running away from the central banks. And that's really what it comes down to. And it seems so odd that, you know, some of the major financial news sources don't recognize that. It just shows you, you know, the lack of confidence. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. It just shows you the lack of confidence in the financial system overall of the lack of understanding, or the not willing to accept. It's not even understanding. It's the fact that they're not willing to accept. That's what it really comes down to. And that is curious right there. I mean, that really is the fact that they don't see that. I find that to be incredibly curious myself. They're living in some type of fantasy world, I guess you could say. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Where they would actually think people would run to the Federal Reserve's crypto invented currency. No way, no how, not happening, not happening whatsoever. So that is that. All right, that's taking care of that train of thought there. And as you can see there, the euro is just again sitting under its trading range that we've been following for about a year. And I guess that will be the crutch of it all for the time being. I mean, that will be it. That's where we are. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's go over to cable. Let's see what the cable's up to this morning. Put it up over here. It's nice to be able to see both charts at the same time. I like that, the way we've got this set up. And I need to put up the fact check spreadsheet too at the same time. Okay, so cable right there. There we are. Let's put the fact check spreadsheet up like so. We'll shrink it down a little bit. And be centered more on the currencies itself. Like that. That shows you all the currency pairs. Aussie all the way down to New Zealand spot. And let's fix the J4X. Let's put. Having a mouse problem here for a second. It's trapped underneath something. The line. There we are. Let's put the British pound on there too at the same time. Right there. There we go. And so you see cable trying to move up in weekly sells just the same way the euro is. And also was it? Oh, you know what? I don't remember. I think we look at the fact check spreadsheet. That'll tell us what it's in. That's the. I wanted to take a look and see where the Swiss is. Yeah, Swiss is 6 weeks in a weekly buy, which is embarrassing, obviously, for the currency. And just like as you can see on fact check, you can see 2 weeks in a sell on both the euro and the British pound against the dollar. So the dollar overall is kind of firm, kind of holding up. I mean, we got daily stuff going on. Both of them are in daily sells, you can see right there. But yeah, and I think they're all flirting with daily buys today. That's what that is. And then over on the Swiss was in a daily sell. And let me just go back real quick and take a quick look at that. So yeah, there's the British pound. It's flirting, trying to get into the buy again right here. You see it. Let's widen this a little bit. Right there. And you see the line is moving up just the same way it was doing in J4X, or is in J4X. There's that right there. See? So it's trying to get, in this case here, it's been in the buy since there. And not letting go. It's just not letting go. It's trying to hold on, whereas I guess we were in a buy up to here. We went into the sell on Friday there, and now we are swinging right back again. Trying to get back into the buy right there. Let's see, so let's put that in like so. There's the sell from Friday. And that's why it's on the spreadsheet that way. And there's the buy from there. And you can see on J4X, it has not changed the direction. It's still staying with it and holding up in there, which is kind of positive. And we'll see if they lift that up. Now, what's interesting is, our range on this thing had been like the 137.5, 38 to the 142.5, and now it has expanded. The range itself has expanded as you can see, this was in here in that 136-ish area, 37 area, for a long while, and then the last month, couple months, it has found a way to break down there. We just assumed that was inflation. Kind of didn't really think we were going to see another move below that, but look at that. When they did drop it for 2 days, they collided it down over 2 full handles. Now it's kind of taken a little while to do it, but it's rebounded back up into that range again. And that's that inflation factor we've been figuring that's been going on in the British pound now. I mean, this inflation thing is awful hard to understand anymore since no one's really following fundamentals. So that makes, talking about inflation is kind of odd in the sense that people can feel it every day. They see it in the fuel that they put in their machines. They see it at the cost of going to a store to buy food. They see it in real estate prices. They see it in material prices like wood and steel and so forth. But when it comes to the economic data itself, it seems to have no real influence on the products, which is kind of curious. You don't really see it that much. You see it in the currencies a little bit. They've changed the range a little, but not a lot. All right, from there we go over to Turkish Lira, which is always fascinating. I call it the dessert because it's fascinating to watch because you don't see many currencies that are part of an industrialized society that run from 1.5 to in this case here almost 9 now. That's a heck of a move. It's almost a 8-to-1 ratio. I mean, went to 1.5, then went to 3. That's a doubling. Then it goes to 6, a doubling again. Now it's at 9. It doubled. 3 to 6 is a doubling, and then doubling would be to 12. So right now it's up another 50% from the last, which is ugly. Not 50% from the bottom, because it's up like 300-400% from the bottom. So it's kind of fascinating to watch. Sorry for the population when they try to buy imports. And let's check that out over on the Chicago, the J4X. Let's see what it looks like there. If we can figure out what mouse, there it is. Clean that mouse up. And we'll go over here and look at it right there. There we are, dollar, Turkish lira. Bingo. And doing the same thing, moving up, coming towards the highs, and I'm sure the euro dollar, the euro Turkish lira has to be even higher, doing its thing, and it has not let go. It's in the, you can see here on the dollar side of it, it's in a daily buy for 3 days already. This is the 4th day and 4 weeks in a buy. It's been, one nice little move from this area here, and it was at the 840s area. Went into the buy in the 840s, and now is trading at the 9s. Is that 9? What was that? The high is 897. So went from 840s to almost 9. It's a heck of a move. Now we'll take a peek at the euro against the Turkish lira, which seems to be the more directional tool. You see there, it's not making any more new highs at the moment. I think the all-time high is 1039 or 1040, something like that. Let's just go back and check. It might be even higher. Yeah, see that was that crazy spike in June. 1075. So, it did its thing when it did that strange, scroll over again, when it did that strange event due to the head of the central bank leaving the country with a couple billion in cryptocurrencies. That's where we got that line at the time when we put our math to it. There's a couple other forms of math I can use my math in a different way that we usually don't show on the screen here. And that's how we developed that channel here. From this, we knew that that was going to be the channel, and it has been. Ran up, played with it, ran over it a little bit, ran down, now it's playing with it again. And that's how we developed those channels. Let's see, so that's the dollar, no, that's the euro Turkish Lira, and let's take a look at it through J4X. There. Showing a little strength right there. We'll see the white line, I'm sure, piercing through the dashed and making its slow and steady grind up to the 1075, which is the all-time highs. I think I mumbled something a few times about the idea of we're going to sadly see this thing even higher, unfortunately. Let's hope not. Let's hope that the math is stalled here. But if this keeps on building a support on this, I'll put my math to it again, and chances are we're going to be seeing the 12s, which is a very disappointing thing for the people in Turkey trying to buy imports. All right, from there, we zip over to the Canadian dollar. Dollar CAD right there. You can see here it's moving down. We've been in that daily sell since here on the Chicago Quant, and we closed in a weekly sell last week. We didn't put our little line in. Let's put that in. Ta-da! And let's try to save it this time. I think we had that in there on Friday and it just disappeared. Save workspace. There we go. Got to remember to do this on this one. And save it again. Bingo. Bingo, bango, bongo. And over here you can see same situation, moving down, broke the line there. It's just heading south, and it's banging against the bottom of the floor at this point, which is kind of funny. It's in the minuses at that point, which I really like, is the idea that the stochastic doesn't stall at zero when they're competing with each other. What else can we say about Canadian? What it kind of says is, as the Canadian's going down, that means it's gaining strength against the dollar. And since it's gaining strength against the dollar, that means that chances are we're seeing strength in oil, we're seeing strength in the metals complex. And I can say I did see $81 somewhere along the line over an hour and a half ago. So obviously, yes, oil is definitely gaining in value. And let's see. Let's take a look at what's the other one? Oh yeah, gold. So let's drift over to that arena. And there it is right there. There's gold. Kind of moving down at the moment, but still in a daily buy. In a weekly sell now for 2 full weeks, and not looking very happy today. And then looking at crude oil, right there, in a weekly buy now for 3, 4, 5 full weeks, going on a 6th, and in a daily buy for the last 3 days. And I guess you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of the last 8 days in a daily buy. So it's definitely, the buys have been winner, winner, chicken dinners. And so that is what normally happens there. Now here's one that was not. It went into the buy here and failed for 2 days, and you lost that much. But then, as always, the doc math straightens that out, and then you made what you gave up there easily, and then some. Now you're plus. Then it did it again there. Now you're super plus, and then you're in the plus again here. So you're triple X plus. So that's the way doc math usually does work. All right. That's the norm for the last 40 years, I can say that much. Let's see, where do we go from here? And that, I guess, is that for the time being. And what we'll do is we will slide back to the metals and the energy complex after we finish off looking at the South African rand and the ruble and the yen and the peso and the Mexican peso. When we go through those, and we'll finish off those currencies, and then we'll go back to the other two and take a look at them in more depth. Unless someone jumps out right now and says, "Yo, Doc, let's see what that's doing." I'll go, "Sure, sure." All All right. And let's see, not there. That's not there. We go to here. Let's go find South African Rand. And the answer to that is around here somewhere. There it is. Activate. And here you can see it there. And let's put it up on J4X. Right there. You see strength. Now, I would have assumed it was going down. I mean, gold, well, gold is down, so I can understand the pressure on that, but a lot of times the oil can kind of flip it a little bit back. But unfortunately, because of the way gold is down for the day, even with it not going into a sell, it's putting pressure on the currency at the moment. But and then you see on J4X too at the same time, the white line is down at the bottom end of the range. When we look at it, it's not that, it's just the range of the last month and a half. It's not hasn't made that challenge, which is not good because now it's making higher lows, and this one there made a higher high. So that's not usually what you want to see when you're looking for something that's going down. It's usually the opposite. In other words, this is indicative of strength on the upside, not the downside. And then when you see it on Chicago Quant, you can see that same slonkiness here. Sliding into sells. And, can't get into the buy. It's been in the sell since right here. But it hasn't gone anywhere, really. Let's put that in there. So I went into the sell right there. And it just can't get anything going. It's just vacillating sideways. No conviction. There is no belief, or there's not enough money right now thinking, okay, I want to be involved in that on the long side. You can see it here on the weekly. It's 2 weeks now on a weekly buy, and it's gone nowhere, just nowhere. It barely takes out the close of that weekly buy. It keeps on flirting in a circular way of nowhere. All right, over to the ruble. Dollar ruble, kind of hunched, and let's widen that out a little bit, showing a lot of pressure here and at the bottom end of its range. And over here, ruble just kind of floating along at the edge and the bottom of its range. It's been in its sell there, and in the weekly sell since way back here. Oh, you can't say. There, in a weekly sell since here, so it's not been any real action. Went up, went lower, went higher, went lower, and it started making. Then that's a higher high than that, but this made a lower low. So now you have this dichotomy there, and then then what you get is you get a lower low here. You see when it tries to lift, and we don't get that. I remember mentioning something, going into daily sell and failing, not taking out that high. I thought, uh-oh, down we go, where she stops, only the dot knows. That's what happened there. All right, heading over to, let's check out the yen. The yenski. Dollar yen. Somewhere. There it is. And you can see it's up, which is usually indicative of the dollar being up. And let's check out over here. Oh yeah. So this thing's been in a, let's see, where's the fact check? You can see it there on the fact check spreadsheet. So it's 4 weeks in a buy and 4 days in a buy. It's been pressing on the upside there. And you would assume that the dollar, I know that the ETF, UUP, let's see where that's at. I think the market's open now on that for the last hour, so they probably have some quotes in it. Yeah, see it's starting to lift up again after a couple days in weakness here. But it was in a weekly buy, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not sure what that's all about. Why I don't have, oh I know, we're using a super here, that's why. We use the 3.5. So the blue dash and the green line and the histogram all have to be together. So that they have to work in, it's something to do with the beta of the product itself when you're using that type of mathematics. And so you can see here it's been pushing in 4 weeks into a buy at this point. And you know, it's this is the 5th week, and you can see now the daily is starting to perk up again. And do we have we haven't been up this high in a while, not since September of last year. That is the dollar index, which we rarely look at. You know, I have one client I think looks at it. We look at this. We look at currency pairs itself. It's a lot better to appreciate dollar action if you look at the pairs compared to just looking at one index. The index is fascinating, but it's not like looking at an S&P 500 index or a Dow Jones Industrial Index. You know, the currency indices are a little bit sloppier. I don't think they tell the story all the time, whereas the individual pair trades tell the story much better. Okay. From there we head over to the last of the currency pairs, and that is the Mexican peso, right there. And if you do want to know about any particular pairs, you can ask and we will throw it up there. Let's go find the Mexican peso too. Yeah, still moving up. Oh, there goes the mouse. And so you can see the oval is being expanded, I guess, at this point. You know, we've been watching this oval. You can see here, look at this. As much as this has been green, this is going in and out, and now it's trying to fight its way through again. And when it comes to the Chicago Quant, in fact, we can take this oval now and expand it out more like that, which is really wild to see this thing really perform it. But we thought this one was going to be a hot one. We talked about this about a week before it happened, and it sure is. I went into the buy, the daily buy. Where'd it go? Went into the daily buy right here. Let's see, where's it? Right there. So let's get that in there. I could have sworn I've put that line in half a dozen times. Let's save it. Let's give that I guess if we shrink that down, let's shrink that down like that. There. And let's save it. Save workspace. Save workspace as. And there it is there. You can see it's been in a daily buy for 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 days going on 10. I know some traders must be saying, hey, what's that all about? There was a green dot there, so we did not lose that as a buy. In this case here, now the green dot seems to have disappeared, and so it's treating it like it's a sell, but we're just going to leave it alone and not really pay attention to it, because it's history. It's not like it's telling us anything about the future. It was just telling us at the time back then, which was a green dot. So, and this oval keeps on getting firmer and longer, and we keep on saying, this time it's developing another range. Whatever's going on economically, politically, geopolitically, or whatever, and the end result is that it's obviously putting some pressure on the currency itself. You see the currency is weakening. No, just not a lot. It's not like Turkish weakness. Just a little mild weakness from 20 to 2074, which is nothing. I'm sure they'd be very happy to watch the Turkish Lira go from 9 to 9.010 instead of like 9.91 and 9.2 and 9.3. Just finished off our tea. That was good. So that's the Mexican peso against the dollar. And let's see, just look at JForex again. Yeah, just marching up. It's showing more life again. We haven't been here in a while, since Q1 of 2020. Yowzer. All right, from there, we drift back to the metals complex and then the energy complex. So we'll throw gold right here. And that's that weakness right there. You see for a couple days now in the gold complex. Over here, it's vacillating. Is that gold? No, that's crude oil. There it is. It's vacillating too. It's showing a little weakness, nothing major. And you know, in a daily buy for 2, 4, 6, 7. It's the 8th day of a daily buy. So a little different story, not that much different when you really look at this. 8 days back here, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So threw it into the buy just like it did here, and it vacillated, you know, showing us that there was weakness, and you know, it's just still giving us that signal. When this probably turns up, our work will be turned up too, and it'll be a real confirmation that we're seeing some real buying going on. Now let's take a look at silver. It's down just a little bit also. There it is, same situation. 2, 4, 6, 7, going on 8 days on the buy when it comes to silver. As you can see, right there, so 7 days, see right there. Same thing with gold, 7 days. And you know, we've been seeing the strength also in the platinum market. They've been buying the platinum for weeks, and we've been saying that that must mean something, and obviously it does. They're not really letting go of the metals complex whatsoever. In other words, they're not selling it. They are buying it, even with a weekly sell in both the silver and the gold. And that's nice this morning. Look at that. We're getting a little turn up there. How nice of it. And love to see that over on the gold complex, but it's not. It's heading down. And then over on the platinum, we're looking at Jan Platinum right there. A little pressure there, nothing major, and end up trying to stay in a weekly buy again. So over the last 3 weeks, it's been in a buy 2 weeks and a sell 1 week. And now we're fighting to have a 4th week, and that one being in a buy also. We'll see, it's only Monday. And we've noticed also this triangle that we've been looking at is obviously failing, and it's taking off on the upside. See that there? So something's brewing on the metals complex. I don't know if it's that important. You know, it's, you know, when you're, you know, when central banks control the metals market, you know, with paper money, it's awful hard to take any of this stuff serious. Rob and I were discussing this, I guess it was on Thursday or Friday. You know, he goes out to Maxwell Street or something like that, goes out to one of the flea markets in the Chicago area, and they're trading, you know, silver like at $30 an ounce, basically. They sell it physically. So you see it here on the exchange trading in the 22s, and you see it on the street itself trading at 30. And he talks to the coin dealer. He has a couple coin dealers he talks to, and yeah, the same situation. Still, they're not willing to sell it for under 30. You know, so the physical is not matching to the price tag of the exchanges. All right. From there, I guess that kind of solves the three metals complex. Let's take a look at oil. Right there, you see that ripping up 3 days in a buy, and is it 2, 4, going on a 6th week in a buy. And let's just see it over here. Right there, showing that buying that's going on, slowly inching its way up. It's been in a weekly buy, daily buy right here. You can see for days. Didn't get fooled by that weakness whatsoever. You know, it's a great commodity. Everybody uses it. When it gets cold out, everybody will pay whatever it takes to buy it. You know, I mean, that's definitely something that you want, you know, to own. And that seems to be what we're seeing here. And then, matter of fact, there are headlines over the weekend. Won't Europe just finally clean up its act with, you know, with the Russian Federation? You know, in other words, find a way to come to common ground. You know, instead of battling with each other over foolish things. And so you can see there, this is moving up nicely. And let's take a look at nat gas here in the States. Whereas nat gas in Europe is trading in the 30s, this is trading at 5.30. So it's like $28 cheaper, and that's a wild, confusing thing, you know. And this morning, this was lifting up, and we had a green line in there reminding traders, oh, this seems looking pretty good. But here we are 2 hours later, and it ain't looking too good anymore. It's back underneath again. Who knows? The selling of the American natural gas is, I guess, you know, some way. I mean, how do you short European natural gas at 33? You know, you don't. You know, that's, you don't know if it's going to do something incredibly wild like go to 43. And so so it's awful hard to trade the European gas at the moment. Let's see if can we even get a European gas? Let's see what it says here. There's the U.S. nat gas. And then let's see if we can find something in here that shows European natural gas. There's copper, there's bean oil, or bean. Let's see, what is that? That is German 30-year index. And these are the stock indices. There's a dollar index. Let's see if there's another. I know they have like I think they have the hub. You know, in other words, there's natural, that's it, natural gas grid, that's what that is. Let's see if there's anything else in there. What's OR, Euro, franc? Let's see what that is. I don't know what that is. Could that be the gas that was in the 33s? Let's take a look and see what the hub shows. There's that hub. And let's see if this shows like this big spike up. No. So it's a spike down. So as this goes down, does the oil go up in value? I mean, I'm wondering, you know, have we seen anything? No. See, this is normal. This is like a normal range, whatever range that is. That's a relatively normal. Now, whereas natural gas in Europe has gone from like $6 a cubic foot to $33 a cubic foot. So that's not normal. That's not even close to normal. That's it's very terrifying for many. And there's what I think it's a $30 billion margin call on the product right now in Europe. So that's a good reason right there alone for the stock indices to be relatively firm or sideways. In other words, you know, they sell the stocks to try to get money to pay the margin. At the same time, the Federal Reserve comes in and is a big supporter of the stock market because they have that transitory thing going on in their heads. Inflation is transitory, and dilemma or chaos is transitory. In other words, it'll clean itself up. It doesn't matter right now. It's okay. It's transitory. That's what that is. It's their new code word for don't worry, be happy. Hey. All right. So let's see, that's that. Let's jump over to the stock indices as we speak about the stock indices. Let's see what's going on. So here is the S&P 500. I mean, that's usually a window into what the central banks are doing. Just look at the stock indices. That's usually the telltale. Let's see, what is that? Bitcoin dollar. Okay. So here is the S&P 500 right there, and you can see they've been pushing it down for days upon days and a few weeks. That's the daily, and then the intraday right there live. It's coming off its lows of the day, and it's almost unchanged now. It's only down like 3.5 when at one point it was down 31 points, which is a big number for that product. And then we'll take a look at the daily. We'll do that. We'll do all three together. And then let's take a look at the daily of the S&P 500. Right. Window. There we are. You see here it's playing with the daily sell. The weekly buy is trying to turn up. It's having its issues. This thing was down much more this morning. Like I said, it got down to 52. It's trading at 80. What's it trading at now? 77, 75, 78 evens now. So it's 28 points higher now, which is like 280 points on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So that's a lot. In other words, that when in doubt, the Federal Reserve will find a way to rush in and pick things up. They will not let this market fall over. As much as it's been selling down, they're not letting it go down fast. It's just going down slow. All right, now let's check out the is it the Nasdaq 100 or the Tech 100? Right there. That's the daily. Then let's check out the daily right here. There we are. Same situation going down. You see we're in a weekly sell for just a few weeks. It's nothing major there. It's really fought not to go into the sell using the 3-5 super. It's been really sloppy here. And then from there, we'll just take a look at the internals here too. Yeah, so the super is the blue line. It's a 5. So it seems to be a little bit more insightful. We'll have to double check if that beta is still the same. And then, let's see, we take a look at it through the eyes of the intraday action. Right there. See, it's doing the same thing. It's only down 55 points right now, which is a lot. But it was trading at 681. So that is 70 points lower. So it's done more than a Fibonacci 50% retracement from the lows. So this product is just kind of stumbling along, still down, but you can see for the last hour, I guess you could say, they've taken it from the 60s, 14,680 change to the 1400, 750 range. So there's a little buying going on there. Not the whole day, just right now. They're just reaching for it at the moment. And as you can see, our short-term intraday, it goes into the buy right here, goes up in value, goes into a sell right there, goes down in much less value, but still goes down. Goes back into the buy right here, goes up, and they give us a quick head fake back into the buy again for there. See that? So that's looking at, then there's your sell there, so forth and so on. There's your buy there, goes up in value. You can see the intraday doing a fine job. And then you can see down below, this is a standard deviation of 1 and 2 of my mathematics. So it's like a super Bollinger type of concept. All right. Shout out to John. Hey, John. What else we got going on here? That's the Tech 100 or the Nasdaq, with all the high flyers. You're talking about Microsoft, and you're talking about Intel, and you're talking about Cisco, and Tesla, and Google, and Amazon, and Facebook. All the backbone. Shopify, all the backbone. Labarda, all the backbone to modern society and commerce. Then we go over to the Dow Jones Industrial Average right there. You see that's doing the same thing, only down. No, that's even up 8 points at the moment. So they've been coming off of the lows of, it's up 130 some odd points from its lows. And it's plus for the day of 5, 6, 4, 3, 4, and 3, and 3, and 2, and 6. And let's find it over on J4X. there, Dow Jones Industrial Average. And you see there, it's trying to perk up. It's got some green going with it. And as we widen that out, which is really curious, it went into the weekly buy last week, which was interesting. And let's see, where's it at? Let's show you. After being in a sell all the way down, pretty cool. And then goes into the buy here, and now we are flirting with a weekly sell again. I don't know. You know, I don't think there's look. There's not a lot of conviction to these markets. They get pushed and shoved by very weak hands at this point in time. Having China claim that they're not going to bail out Evergrande, and that the overall housing market is in a chaos, and you know, 62 trillion in assets is diminished down to about 40 or 35 trillion in assets, really hurts. And there's not much you can say about that. When you look at the stock indices, obviously the Dow Jones Industrial Average is just reflecting that lack of conviction also, because they don't know what's next. They're told over and over, and Wall Street's trying to sell it to clients all day long that China is the place to be. And then something as simple as one investment like Evergrande of $300 billion can't pay its bonds. People don't buy bonds just to hold bonds, they need the money. And so now Evergrande investors are terrified that they may not see their bonds. In other words, the million or $1 billion they bought of bonds is now frozen in a sense and defaulting, making everybody unhappy. So that is the situation we're in with China. And like I always say, I said to Robin earlier today, how many times have I said, do not, I repeat, do not think that China is the place to be. Keep on saying, I don't see, it's the cockroach hotel. You can get in, but you can't get out. So, it makes it very tough. It's very tough. There's not much more to be said about that. Just be careful, traders. Do not marry yourself a Chinese position. All right, so that shows you the stock indices, all three of them. We showed you the weekly and so forth. Okay, and so now let's see. We're towards the end. We got a couple more minutes. Let me see what can we find around here to take a look at. I found something very fascinating. I think we're going to try to write something about it. Bean oil. I want to show you something about how interesting our math is. It catches my eye every day because of the uniqueness and the characteristic that I constantly see. And it really does say a lot about our mathematics. And I think it's well worth just pointing out again, because here you're seeing it in the real world, not fake simulations like, oh, well, maybe it'll do this, that, or the other thing. Had a debate about that in the physics journal over the weekend about simulations are not real, they're just simulations. You can't count them as real. And so theoretical mathematics and theoretical physics is kind of a fantasy more than it is a real, and it barely is ever accurate. I mean, when I said to them, can you count the amount of papers published in both subjects? And it's kind of like 1% is applicable to real life, and the other 99% are just theoretical, speculations, which is fine. You need speculation, but you can't treat them like they're real when they're not real. So, let's see, where am I headed? Oh yes, I want to show you bean oil. Okay, so here is bean oil right there. Oh, moving down now. Bean oil's been, doing fine. It's in a weekly buy. Last couple of weeks, just cruising along, doing everything. Now, let's look at the whole spread. There's the three products. You've got bean oil, you've got bean meal, and then you have the bean. soybean itself. Now the soybean, they crush it, and then they call that the crush or the spread. And so what they do is they get oil out of it, they get meal that they can feed the animals, and then they have I guess they make tofu out of the beans also, and so forth. You know, there's different products they make from it. So here is bean oil, which I find incredibly fascinating in the sense of how well it's performing. It usually moves along with oil, crude oil. And then here is bean meal. It's been moving down the same period and in weekly sell for eons, all the way back to August. And then you look at soybeans itself, and it's been in a weekly sell since late August. Right? So it's interesting, you're trying to do the spread, the crush spread, and you see that beans are going down in value, and then you see the two other offshoots. Meal is going down in value, and then what do you get? You get oil lifting up. It's lifting up. And just as a good example of how good or how well this concept of ours is, in the sense that when you're looking at individual products, in other words, if you're following a group of stocks, it's always interesting to see it through our math compared to just looking at it like an indice. And same thing here. You can see bean oil going up like there's no tomorrow, and you can see where beans and soy meal have been going down. And I really like that. I love the fact that our math is that good, and we wouldn't be doing this webinar if it wasn't this good. That's what it really comes down to. And I would not have the confidence that I have. I couldn't pontificate and be so me. So anyway, that's what it comes down to. Just thought that was interesting. This is Doc from North America saying TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday, and we will see you on Tuesday. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. To all our trading friends of Dukascopy and Chicago Quant and the world. Ta-ta for now.